Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Guided Conversations podcast. My name is Kirstie Greco, and I am your host. I am also an intuitive alignment and empowerment service provider for women in the Mahoning Valley. I saw a need for support among women in the community as they pursue a life that feels in alignment with their true self. This is all based on my own experiences, and I started my podcast to tell my story with the intent to inspire other women along this journey. And it's basically my way of giving you a big old hug and holding your hand through it all to let you know that you are not alone. So if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're a regular listener, welcome back. I am so grateful for your continued support. This podcast episode has been quite a journey. I tried to sit down and record it on Saturday, which was a full moon in Libra. And the full moon was full mooning. And even today, just now, I was trying to sit down and start recording, and the microphone kept like blinking, and it must be dying, but it was just one of those things where, like, of course, I didn't realize what was happening till like after 3 tries of getting started. So that's that. Also, the light is lighting today. I have a window right over here that faces west, and in my last video you can tell that like it was gloomy outside because the light shining in was very like cool and dull, and it's just so bright today, and it's helping with my ring light, and it's just all good. I got my monthly massage on Saturday. This all ties in together, I promise. I'm not just rambling. So I got my monthly massage on Saturday, and I have prioritized this service for myself for this year, starting in January, as a way of incorporating more body work into my healing process, because, you know, I do a lot of internal work and journaling and like mental and subconscious work, but I felt that it was time to also incorporate body work to release any stored or stuck emotions that have been lingering. And this is also kind of what inspired my Art of Alignment 28-day transformation process. Like, the body remembers so much that your mind either has like shoved to the back to completely forget and move on from, and like your body still remembers that, and it's muscle memory. So it just stores unprocessed emotions, negative emotions, emotional responses, all of that. I wanted to start doing body work to help my own personal healing process, and it has been fantastic so far. Like, I'll get my deep tissue massage, and for like a couple days afterwards, almost up to a week, I've experienced it up to a week where I was just like emotional and like just crying, especially when I would do yoga afterwards. It's just like a nice way of letting go of that stored energy, and it's helped me so much already. And this is what my 4th month consecutively doing that. I'm also working on correcting my posture. Also, tattooing doesn't really help because I'm hunched over all the time. I try to be more mindful and like sit with my shoulders back. It's not always easy. It's not always feasible, but I do my best. I also broke my tailbone in labor and delivery. And for 9 months at least, while it was still healing, I could not sit properly. So like I would sit off to the side and try to compensate for that pain that I was feeling, because I didn't want to obviously like sit there in pain. So I would just find ways around it. And I think it really affected a lot, and like in my back, my spine, all the way up to my neck and my shoulders. I'm also a stomach sleeper, so I know that was like not helping the matter of my neck and shoulder tension, and of course, like, the whole throat chakra thing. Again, another reason why I started this podcast, to open that up and also become a better communicator. This is all part of my own healing process. So if you haven't tuned into the previous episodes, I talked a lot about that, a lot about my reasons why for starting, and all of the experiences leading me up to this point. I was very nervous in those early episodes. I'm still a little bit nervous now talking about it, but I feel more confident, more energetic. Oh, I guess I was always kind of energized and ready, but I was just like shy and vulnerable. So I would like be timid and tiptoe around the situation and conversations and all of that. But I am breaking out of that shell. I can feel it. I can see it when I play back my videos. I hope that it translates that way for you guys too. So, anyways, trying to record this podcast over the weekend was not the greatest. Leading up to Saturday, I have been pretty irritable and easily triggered for at least 2 weeks. And I feel like I haven't been able to really move a whole lot of energy out of my body. I don't know, maybe I just needed that massage for like extra help. Just been a grumpy couple of weeks, to say the very least about it. I did my massage and I came home, and it just like, it was not landing. And I'm actually glad that I waited, because, I never want to force anything. I'm always very intentional about everything that I do and everything that I put out, as far as content goes. And yeah, so here we are on Monday. Today's episode is going to be around the themes of this past Saturday's full moon. Also, just in general terms, like how to work with the moon energy when it is in that those last phases from the full moon to the waning moon up into the new moon. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I'm going to mention Chiron. Chiron was conjunct with the sun in Aries. Chiron is the wounded healer, and it triggers some things. And I think this was also coming up. So once I realized that that was going on in the sky along with the full moon, I was like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to talk about how that showed up in my life, and also just some revelations I've had about my own self. I had a client of mine reach out to me after I went to my broadcast channel on Instagram. I mentioned that I've been having a tough time, and how it's normal to have these negative human emotions like anger and sadness and just things like that aren't always like happy and positive, and that it doesn't take away from the big picture if you are feeling those things. Like, yes, I was grumpy, but that didn't make me any less grateful for the things that I had. So it's almost like a detachment from my reality, the emotion was. So it just served me as a way to see where it was showing up in my life and what I needed to work through subconsciously to release those heavy emotions that I was feeling. So my client, she had reached out and said, thank you for being honest about your struggles. And I was like, well, of course, if I wasn't honest about the tough things, then I feel like my whole mission is a facade, basically, because the light does not exist without the dark, but the dark can serve as a catalyst to move more into the light. So I will always be upfront and honest about my emotions, anything that I'm going through. If it's a little bit more personal, I will be vague about it, but in a way that explains like my own process. The full moon is about identifying where you can let go of things that are no longer serving you. So it's like the illumination, and the moon in the tarot, the moon card represents fears, anxieties, illusions, anything like that, our subconscious. So it's all of the things that are not serving us are kind of coming to the light at this point. And of course, the sign that it is in is where you can best identify those limitations to move forward. So, for example, okay, the full moon in Libra. Libra is around restoring balance. It's about relationships with other people and the relationship with yourself. So, what limitations do you have in your relationships with other people that you might be placing on yourself knowingly or unknowingly? And how can you let go of them to restore this balance and harmony back into your life? And then, of course, the relationship with yourself as well. So, from the full moon through the waning moon is all about releasing these things and all the ways that you can release them. And then you have this space cleared as you roll into the new moon about 2 weeks after the full moon to set your new intentions. And this process is basically how I called myself on my BS to create better for myself. And that is how my business got its name, basically, because if I did not do that, if I did not do that work, I would not be where I am today. So I attribute my business to the work that I've done, and I've done it in alignment with the lunar cycles. So that is how we got to Guided by the Moon. Anyways, so that is that. And Chiron, being an Aries, brings up wounds around taking action and initiative, and Aries is related to the first house just in general terms of astrology. So that relates to your personal identity. Specifically for me, Aries rules my 11th house. Yeah, my 11th house, because I'm a Gemini rising. So Gemini would be my first house of the self and my identity. It's all based on your own birth chart and your rising sign. So this frustration with Chiron moving into this space, the 11th house is related to innovation and for the greater good of humanity, and anything that is unique and unconventional. With Chiron being in Aries in my 11th house, it's where am I struggling to take action and why? So, like, I have this identity. I'm trying to best make sense of it without like having a diagram to like map it out. I'm an artist, I'm a visual person, so it is a lot easier for me to like draw a picture. But again, I'm here to better my communication skills, so bear with me as I try to best explain how this has been showing up in my life. Okay, so my identity as an unconventional person, like what wounds do I have around that? And I am going to be honest right now, like it was so hard for me to put a ton of my work out there, even as far as like how did I get to the point of calling my business Guided by the Moon. because it is unconventional. And I was so worried of how people were going to receive that and perceive me from that, because it's just different. And I know astrology and the tarot and all of this is becoming more mainstream and like manifesting is a buzzword now, but I've been in tune with that for quite some years at this point, and I was just afraid of putting myself out there and taking that initiative to put out these new services that I have, for fear of how it was going to land, and if I was going to be judged for it and have people be like, well, who the hell does she think she is by doing this service? Like, what makes her qualified? And it's all intention. Like, my intent here in my business, is to serve the highest good of the women in my community. Like, I have these skills, I have this experience, I have this knowledge and expertise. Why am I not using it on my social media platforms, and within my business to, serve the highest good of the women in my community? So that intention has been like my driving force, but again, also has been preventing me from taking action sooner because of those fears that I had, like the wounded healer of Chiron and Aries in my 11th house. So, yeah, does that make sense? That was kind of a lot. So, in terms of the full moon, I have been self-sabotaging in ways, whether I realize it or not, from taking action because I have these fears, and it has caused an imbalance in my day-to-day life. So I am a work from home mom, and I feel like I prioritized my duties in the home over my business duties. Again, like maybe subconsciously, maybe at times on purpose, just, out of fear of putting myself out there and being worried about what other people thought of me. So, restoring balance in my relationship with myself for me looks like, putting myself on a schedule that works for all of the individuals in my home, and also prioritizing baby steps or small tasks for my business within a day. If I can dedicate 1 or 2 uninterrupted hours a day, that is, almost 7 to 14 hours, anywhere in that range for the week. And that's, nearly part time. And again, if they're uninterrupted, I can do and accomplish so much. So that is one thing I plan to work on. Also, I've asked for some assistance. Sometimes I feel like I do more, but also that is my own fault because I'm very particular about the way things are done and the way things look. Like, if our home does not look like it's been styled for like a photo shoot or like a walkthrough at any given point of the day, I do not do well. So I like to have things very like nice and like in their place. And it also helps my mental state because, again, I'm a very visual person. If I see clutter around, it will trigger a response in me where it's like I have to address this right now. So that is something that I'm working on, restoring balance, but also handing off the tasks and accepting that they might not be done in the way that I want, or things might land not in their proper place, but somewhere similar. And it's just best that I work on those things within myself that are unwilling to accept help because of the fact that I'm pretty particular. So, how can you work with the Chiron energy and the full moon energy? And of course, it's not too late to still connect with that full moon energy. Again, like we have about 2 weeks to identify any limitations to let go of and move forward before the new moon. The best question to ask yourself is, where are you giving too much of your energy, and where are you giving not enough of your energy? And right there, like, you'll have your answers for how you need to go about moving forward. But being honest with yourself and like why you are giving away so much of this energy and not taking or not giving enough energy in this other area is crucial. And being in the space of bettering yourself and doing the inner work, you have to be radically honest and like fully ready to accept certain things about yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to progress and move forward. Figuring out where Aries rules your chart will help the particular area that you may be struggling with initiative and taking action and like your identity within this particular area. So if you're new to the birth chart, you can figure out your rising sign by, there's like so many apps. I love Time Passages, and then I also love the Pattern. It's Time Passages is more of the just general like planetary stuff, and it'll talk about how like the planets in your chart like show up for you, and then there will be one in there for Chiron, and it'll say where it was at the time of your birth. Like mine is particularly in Cancer, which is my second house because I'm a Gemini rising, and that is around like money and finances and stability and structure in that way. So that is like my ongoing life lesson. Finding out where Aries rules in your chart is going to help you make that connection with the space for healing with Chiron. And again, like I said, it was around initiative and taking action and accepting myself for being unconventional, and I'm not letting that hold me back. So yeah, we'll be working on that. And it's so crazy because some days I'll be like, I really just don't care. And then other days I'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm so hesitant to post this because I just have this fear that I need to let go of. And like consistency with taking the action that is going to break you out of that fear and that pattern is what's going to help you the most. So like wherever you're showing resistance is the very thing that you probably need to do in order to grow and move forward. So I hope that by hearing a little bit about how I came to my realizations and being honest with myself and finding ways to work past my own limitations has inspired you. And I hope you have a little bit more of a clearer understanding of how to work with the energy of the moon from its full moon phase all the way through the waning and up to the new moon. If you haven't tuned into my last video, I do have some new services out that I'm just going to touch base real quick. But before I do that, because I know I'm going to forget, if you could take the time to follow the podcast on Spotify, on YouTube, like, subscribe, and all of that. I would really appreciate it because it helps me get my work out there to more women, especially in my area, to support them and guide them through intuitively into alignment and empower themselves to expand and thrive. I would appreciate it so much. New services that I have are tarot readings. You can get a one-time reading for the new or the full moon for 30 minutes. I do have a link for that. I'm going to just link everything through my beacons page. That's like going to be a hub for all of my resources and links and all of that. So you can find it there. I also have a new and full moon subscription. So you'll get 2 tarot readings a month delivered right to your inbox. And that'll, connect with the energy of the lunar cycle and its astrology at the time to help guide you forward. I also have my 28-day transformation service. It is called The Art of Alignment, and it starts once a month on the new moon. And I only accept 4 clients per month, just so I can be intentional and not take on too much and be able to give all that I can. You can find more information about that at www.guidedbythemoon.co/alignment. And if it sounds like something that you would love to do, the next step would be to fill out an application on that page or book a discovery call to learn more and see if it's a good fit. I do have space for April and May, and I have it super, super discounted because it is a new service and I want to get it out there. And I have a flash day this month, actually. It's 2 days. Sunday, the 27th, is already full, but I do have space still on April 26th. It's a Saturday, in the late afternoon. So the theme for this month's flash is celestial stars and moons, and I of course am so excited about it. But I do have event info. Again, you can find that on my beacons page, to see all of the flash that I have. And if you want to reserve a time spot for Saturday the 26th, fill out a booking request form at www.guidedbythemoon.co/tattoo. I also updated that page, so I have a bunch of new portfolio pictures up there. And again, I redid my whole website by myself over the last couple of weeks. And if you haven't seen it lately, check it out. I'm super proud of it. Again, super, super basic, bare minimum web design skills over here, but still super proud. If you aren't already following me on Instagram, I'd love to connect with you there. I am at guidedbythemoon.co. And until next time, bye.